just making this video to explain why I'm getting into the Softwood Challenge of the Century. Now the last thing I want to do is convey the message that it's a sure thing that all woods, in this case softwoods, can be made into a usable, effective bow or hunting weapon. That's not really the point. The point is, I guess I can use this bow here to explain it, and not a Maligabay. I didn't do this, with this style of tips to like help the cast or anything, or be a form of that bow. It's just for style, because the tips, the needle tips aren't long enough. They're near the end. Again, just for style. This is an ash bow, rawhide back, and when I was making this, I cut it from a sapling, split it, let it dry, made a bow out of it. I knew that I could make a bow out of it. I mean, that's given. White ash is a time-tested bow wood. There was no question. I wasn't exploring like the fringes of anything. It was just a matter of drying the stave, good stave, drawing the lines, working it down, tillering it. Voila, I've got a good bow. But aren't we, as bow makers, explorers in a way? And that's why we're not just going to like a sporting goods shop and buying a compound bow or a laminated bow. We're making stuff that was a tree, invisibly a tree, not so long ago. I mean, before it was cured. I've got this need to explore things that really aren't in the mainstream. It's like, poking around like a museum with a flashlight, and all you can see is the stuff in your beams, at night in the dark. And you're going to see great things, in this case, an ash bow that works. But what about all the stuff you don't see in the darkness? And to me, that's where the idea of making bows out of the compression wood of conifers, it comes in. That's the stuff that's in the darkness. Now, it's true that many areas, maybe all areas, I've never seen like a fir tree, a balsam fir with like thick branches that would make a bow. Maybe that'll just be out of the running. Maybe I could search and find one. I'll grant you that. So, balsam fir, I might not even pursue that. But I do have the blue spruce. I have Norway spruces. There's black spruces, white spruces. There's a great number of trees here that could also have been found in some form, because Ice Age Europe fascinates me. Before they had the ability, or in areas where they didn't have the ability to use hardwoods, they used other stuff. Pinus sylvestre, Scotch pine, being right at the top of my mind. Making bows out of those materials, because that's what they had available. I have to admit that Tetrazoa Lover really got me thinking in a good way, because it was like, gosh, don't go for saplings because they're not under stress. Go for the branches. And I found that with that blue spruce. And I would have never thought about that, before I entered this journey. I sound so cliche. That what I discovered in that blue spruce branch was an incredible fine growth ring pattern. Was it like between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch? There were 20 or so growth rings. They were so fine they were hard to count. And the wood is incredibly dense. That's uncharted territory. That's something I didn't even think about like a couple months ago. I was working an elm bow, and before then there was a great number of different bow woods I worked, and I never even really thought about the conifers. I'm not afraid to look stupid, and I know in a lot of people's minds, other bow makers, I am looking stupid by doing this, but I'm going to survive. And hopefully, even though there are people out there that make good bows, I've seen them on YouTube out of the spruces and the pines, etc. It's not that common. I'd like to bring that sense of exploration back, instead of just getting a stave, of Osage or whatever, not to denigrate that, and making a bow and knowing you're going to make a decent bow out of it. if you work carefully. I want to get back into exploring and experimenting. I have to, because I've made so many bows and sold so many bows. You know, I don't want it to get routine. I want to still have like that wide-eyed wonder of somebody discovering something for themselves for the first time, even though we're obviously not discovering anything, because everything that has been done with bows has basically been done before. And so I'm going to keep on this path of being a fanatic. Why not? You know, because maybe it's going to inspire other people to increase their skills in bow making and also widen their field of bow woods. And so thank you, everyone. I've had nothing but like wonderful comments and an insight into this, and that's what it's all about. I could secretly be working on my little projects because I'm scared to look stupid. But what I've found is other people that are also thinking about this stuff. And although I can guarantee that there's going to be adventurous people that go out there and gather things and they're going to make bows out of them and they're not going to work out, they're going to pop or crumple or break. There's going to be people out there that are going to be coming up with amazing weapons out of stuff that they haven't even, nobody's ever really you know, thought about in that much detail. And so, members of the Softwood Bow Challenge of the Century, keep on keeping on. Don't be afraid to have a broken bow or two, because you can learn something from your failures. I don't even like to call them failures. You work a piece of wood carefully, you tiller it carefully, something happens. Let's say it just snaps, and you notice that like it had good spring before it snapped, and I'm not seeing any chrysals. There's no compression lines on here, so it didn't fail in compression, it failed in tension. That failure could steer you towards repeating that whole process, but then sinew backing it or rawhide backing it, protecting it from tensional failure, and producing a beautiful bow out of the material, the same material you made that previous bow out that exploded. You know, so our goal should be widening our views and not just concentrating on what's known. So, fellow explorers, keep on keeping on, and don't be afraid to post your results. No one's going to shun you or look down, because we're always on a quest to learn stuff about wooden bows. And I shall end this with this. I had no doubt that this was going to work out. It's ash, rawhide backed. It's a good bow, and I knew it was going to be a good bow before I started. Have some fun with like making good bows and not knowing that they're going to be good bows before you started. Have fun and have a wonderful day, and thank you for all your great comments.